It is 6:30. We're going to call this workshop of the Lewisville City Council session to order. We do have a quorum, and I have an echo. Awesome. And there we go. Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, item A, discussion of consent and regular agenda items. We have one presentation with Council Canines. We have a presentation of the Maurice Strickland Awards by our city manager. Public hearing, special use permit for Amazon.
Well, on that property, I guess the Studio Movie Girls completely out of there and they're just using that parking lot? Is that?
Yes, that's my understanding. They've torn down the, where's Richard? Thank you, Richard. Go ahead and answer the question.
Yes, they tore down the former movie theater building, and now a lot of the obstacles that allowed both sites to work together have been kind of cleared, so they're kind of come full circle to do what they originally were planning to do.
I didn't know they tore it down. When did they tear it down then?
2021.
Yes, they
Yeah,
did.
3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, what's taking them so long? Was it that?
Well, I think, like I said, we work with them to enforce the ordinances, and their plan had a lot more improvements on the site where the movie theater was, the current subject site, and they were unable to get permissions to tie the Amazon facility to the east to it because we needed to have restroom accessibility for the workers at this site, and so that's why they approved a plan they really didn't want to, and in the meantime some of those obstacles were removed, and now they're able to tie them together, and those workers now are able to use those facilities, and we'll have an accessible connection.
Okay, good deal.
Consent agenda, we have the minutes. We have item 3, disbursement of grant funding. Those are our HUD dollars. Item 4, regular hearing, resolution extending the declaration of local disaster.
Yeah.
Item H is reports. And we do not have any closed session, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. No other questions or comments on the agenda. We'll go ahead and go on to item B, employee retention and resource update. We have our Director of Human Resources, Mr. Tad Phillips. Take it away. He's even got the clicker. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Good evening. All right, so this is a presentation really to just give you all some updates. A portion of this ties back to things that you heard about during your retreat in March, and some within the recruit retain portion of that discussion. And there's a few new things here I just want to share with you also. So for information, happy to answer any questions that you'll have during or after. So topical areas that the first two really tie back to some discussion at retreat, talk about employee turnover and exit interviews. They're going to talk for a couple minutes about our Gallup engagement survey that has started in the spring and will continue on. We're working on that right now. And then some information about employee mental health and what's up and coming with our near-site employee health clinic. So first off, just you saw some of this back in March, but wanted to give you all a reminder that in 2023, for city employees, we saw 105 city employees separate from employment, 85 of those, or 82 of those non-retirement. That was a significant decrease from the prior year. We had, let's see, what are my numbers? In 2022, we had 143 total separations. And so that was a 27% decrease from 2022 to 2023, a major change. This next graphic is just tying a significant metric for us, which is employee turnover. And in 2023, we had 12.5% turnover. That was down from the prior year of 18.2%. So also a major decrease. That 12.5 was the lowest turnover we had since 2019. Actually, from 2022 to 2023, we had the largest decrease in turnover rate amongst our 17 comparator cities. So a major improvement, not just, to me that's an indicator, not just that market forces shifted a little bit, but all the things that we've been doing as an organization proactively had a positive impact between 22 and 23. We also track, thanks to our partners with our IT, we continuously track turnover 365 days a year, so we get weekly reporting. And so our most recent week of a rolling year shows that our turnover rate is down to 11% as of today, so even lower than the 12.5% we reported back first of the year. One of the questions, I think Mayor asked this question during presentation back in March. He said, how does this break down turnover by tenure? And so for the 82 non-retirees, the 82 employees that separated in 2023, we saw 39% were employees that left within the first year, another 40% within 1 to 5 years, and then the remainder thereafter. So obviously the big story on this slide is approximately just shy of 80% of non-retirement turnover occurred within the first 5 years. I would say this is generally what is to be expected, but it reinforces really the city's need to focus resources on employee onboarding, employee training, creating progressions and career pathing for employees, assuring acculturation and engagement, and then creating a sense of belonging. All things that we've talked about before, and I think aligns with a lot of the programs that we're working on right now. Councilmember Kelly, I believe, during that same presentation asked a little bit about exit interviews. So built into today's presentation, a little bit about our exit interview process and just the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I would say just generally, exit interviews are a useful tool. They are specifically a lagging indicator of employee engagement, development, and working conditions, but they're still a useful tool. I think looking back historically, I don't know if we've been consistently leveraging our exit interview tools, so we're working to improve that process as we speak. So one thing is now, you saw as one of the attachments to this item, we've got annual reporting. We've discussed those with our department directors and city management. And I think our intention is going forward to do that on an annual basis and also create some reporting for those larger departments. Exit interviews, it's always a balance of trying to keep things as confidential as possible. Otherwise, you won't get people to be responsive. But I think on larger trends, we want to be responsive and report those back to department. We already have cases where we work on specific cases. If we see a trend within the department out of the HR group, then we work with that department to say, hey, we're seeing trends. Is there something going on with the working conditions, supervisor, whatever the case may be, but we'll continue to do that more in the future. We had a great, robust discussion within our directors group a couple weeks ago talking about these exit interviews and what's going well and where are opportunities for improvement. And as you'll see on the next slide, our participation level is only 28% in exit interviews. What we've identified and just kind of spending some time and energy around that is we have opportunity around creating more participation by how we do our exit process. We have a lot of folks that aren't finding out about their opportunity to do an exit interview until they're already gone. And so we're going to be working to address that to enhance participation levels going forward. We're also going to work on our questions for our engagement, or excuse me, for our exit interviews to tie it to the questions that we have, our Q12 from Gallup in our employee engagement survey. So the Q12 in Gallup really gets at what are things that engage people in the workplace. We want to tie the question for people who have left in that lagging indicator, also find out maybe where we have failed or things that haven't gone well as it relates to that. And then, as I said before, we're going to report back to larger departments. So within the exit interview, like I said, we just have 28% response rate of our non-retirees, but I do want to share the data as it's available for 2023. So this question is, overall, how did you feel about working for the city of Lewisville? As you can see, about 56% had a positive response to that. We also have about 40% just not participate in that question. That doesn't mean necessarily they had negative sentiment, but it's unclear what their sentiment was. We have made a fix since these questions went out. It's no longer it's a required question, so if you're going to participate in the survey, you actually have to give us an actual response. I'm going to grab my water real quick. This next one is we allow employees up to 3 options to tell us what are contributing factors when you left the organization. Oh, there we go. All right, done.
Wow, that jumped.
Yeah.
Watch me drink.
Hope y'all got all that. So with exit interviews, what are contributing factors to your decision to resign? So employees could choose up to 3. We're reviewing our current list of options here, but this is what was available in 2023. And so the number one item was job advancement, which is consistent with what you see generally out there in the world. Also, work that we're doing today, and our directors and departments have been working aggressively on, is we're implementing the job family progressions. That's where we have frontline staff who we create a senior position and a pathway for employees to move to that senior position, and creating pathing for them besides just promotions. And so that's one thing we're working on related to that right now. To me, what stuck out was compensation. Compensation is always going to be listed. The fact that it was only 34% even put it, and they could have chosen up to 3. So the fact that only 34% chose compensation, I think, is a sign. Also, just tying back to our overall numbers, compensation is always going to be a challenge. You will lose a few people to compensation, but on the whole, it wasn't as significant as I think you see in a lot of these types of surveys. Last thing on exit interviews is, would you consider reemployment? And the question really is specifically around, would you like to work for the same supervisor? So here, I took this as a real positive. Of the 23 respondents, 18 said they would be happy to come back and work for the same supervisor. We did have 5, however, say that they wouldn't. And what do people say about when you leave an employer, you're leaving a supervisor? So we know that as common, but I think this data shows that of the respondents that we had, that they had a relatively positive experience with their supervisor. So that was our lagging indicator, our exit interviews. What we're putting a lot of energy into right now is more of a leading indicator towards engagement, which is the work that we're doing with Gallup around employee engagement. And so we initiated our employee engagement survey in February. We had 90% participation, which was really huge. And what Gallup does in their Q12 is they take employee responses and they break them into 3 buckets. The 3 buckets are actively disengaged employees. Those are your folks that generally are kind of working against the workplace. They're actually proactively, like, almost saboteurs in a sense. You're not engaged, or you're kind of folks in the middle that are doing all right. They show up every day. They're doing a decent job, but they're a little bit psychologically unattached in the workplace. And then your engaged group, these are your rah-rah folks, your folks that are on board, your producers, your high performers, your folks that are really into the organization. And so what this data shows right here is, this is Gallup's, this is not our data, this is Gallup's data for the US workplace. They're showing 16% actively disengaged, 50% not engaged, and 34% engaged. This next slide is our data. So you see what went from 16% to 9%. So our actively disengaged, which is really your folks that can have a really negative impact on your work, we are significantly lower than what you see in the general population. Also in the engaged number, the initial was 34%. We're up to 47%. So we have a lot more engaged employees as a baseline as we start our first Q12 survey with Gallup. You also see, though, that our not engaged is higher than what you see from the average. What Gallup says is that's really your opportunity group. Your folks that are not engaged, they're looking for reasons to be engaged. And so they're really a group that you can work on. And over time, your objective as an employer on a macro scale is you want to push these 44 towards the green.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you measure that? How do you come up with these numbers for this organization?
Yeah, so I need to bring in the Gallup expert to give you the full lowdown on that, but basically they're using all of their data sets across all U.S. and international employers to say on their Q12, so they have 13 questions that they ask universally, and then they tie that back to high performance organizations, and they say which employees, how the employees' responses to those questions tie back to high performers in organizations based on their historical data set.
Okay.
Can you give her some examples of some of the questions?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Well, I can tell you the weirdest one.
Yeah, go ahead.
The weirdest one is, do you have a best friend
Yes.
at work? Which is a very extreme question, but it is one that apparently tied to data from this company that's done has been able to say, if you have one there, you're more engaged. So there.
It's a Likert scale, right?
Yes, it is a Likert scale.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Oops.
Sorry, Ted.
Oh, no, you're good.
You were like,
I was cramming information before this presentation, but I didn't put the questions right at the front of my brain. Here we go.
Coworkers regularly bring buttermilk pie.
That is one of the questions too. Do you get buttermilk pie at work?
If I like you, it'll all go okay. If not, there might be. Just kidding. A little extra sugar.
Yeah, so questions that we ask, one is just a general satisfaction question, but it really says, it starts with basic needs. Do I know what's expected of me at work? Do I have the materials and equipment that I need to do my work right? At work, do I have the opportunity to do what is best every day? I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. And then very specific questions like, in the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. My supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. There's someone at work who encourages my development. At work, my opinion seems to count, and then we go on with about 5 or 6 more questions after that. Thank you. So we're really pleased with our response rate to this survey. So one of the things I really like about working with Gallup as a partner is they say, okay, we as an organization, we can do things globally, and they really do matter. We need to set policies, we need to identify pay and benefits and so forth. We need to work to create culture, but things really happen at a local level. And so what you see here is we did the survey in February. We've done a bunch of debriefings and communications to make sure what we heard from our employees in the past is they didn't always know what the outcomes were from surveys. So we've been very thorough in communicating that out. And then within small groups of 5 to 15 employees, they're having one-thing meetings within the departments right now through the end of June to identify what is one thing at a local level that we can do within this small group to move the bar on our engagement. They're identifying those, and then they're going to work those work plans over the coming months, and then we're going to resurvey next February and see where things fall. So it's an exciting plan. Claire, is there anything else you want to add?
I was just going to say, I mean, just about 4 hours ago, I was meeting with a police officer with Chief Rollins, and they said, we're so excited about this one thing meeting. I mean, it's like an opportunity for us to get involved in like improving our day-to-day at work. And I'm like, that's exactly, like when you have frontline employees that excited about that, it's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. And I do need to highlight Tamara Miller from my team. She's my partner in crime on all things Gallup, so she's facilitating a bunch of sessions in departments right now and doing a great job. Shifting to the next topic, employee mental health. And so wanted to just, as we finish May, which is Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month, wanted to let you know we're working on mailers to send out to our employees to clarify, and to their at home, to their households, to clarify what are resources available to you and your family around mental health. The key elements really are our Employee Assistance Program, our near-site clinic, which I'll talk about, as well as some specific additional resources for first responders. And so the first one I just want to share is for our part-time, even our part-time employees are included. So our part-time employees and even folks in their household, they can participate in our EAP. Cigna is our EAP provider. We provide up to 6 counseling sessions as well as a variety of online resources through our EAP. And so that's going out to our part-timers right now. Our full-time employees, in addition to that, folks that are on the health plan have access to our near-site clinic, which is Wellness Works. We have Julie McDonald, who is, well, I should clarify, at our clinic, it's not just for preventive care and acute care for our employees and their dependents. We also have behavioral health resources at our clinic. So Julie McDonald is our professional. She works half-time. She has a great reputation with our staff, with their dependents. Also with our partner organization, the Wellness Works Clinic is a partnership with the City of Capel. So I've been in conversations with them, and their organization loves working with Julie as well. That's one of the things we're actually looking at right now is through this upcoming budget cycle is we're reviewing the possibility of expanding behavioral health hours at the Wellness Works Clinic. Right now it's half-time, and we're looking at possibly making that full-time, as she's at about roughly 90% capacity right now. And then for police and fire, we have some additional resources, just showing you these different layers. I think the biggest thing is one thing that's available to our police officers right now is the Texas Law Enforcement Peer Network. That's a statewide anonymous resource. It's available to any peace officer. But in addition to that, within the department, and we have the same within the fire department, we have peer support counselors. So these folks are trained to be a resource and advocate and a supporter for their peers to get support and help as needed. And I don't remember, how long have those programs been going on, Mark?
We started ours probably 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah. On the fire side, same thing. I would just say we've also got, working through the EAP, we've got a couple of first responder specific resources through FIRST and Free for the Love. So those are all going out to employees in the next week or two. We're also going to have flyers at HR and at our clinic as well. So just trying to reinforce to folks that mental health opportunities abound, that they can participate as employees. The last thing I wanted to share is just with our near-site clinic. We're really excited that we're in negotiations right now. You all should see sometime in the next couple of council meetings, probably a consent item around a lease agreement for moving our near-site clinic, which is actually now down close to Capel, close to the mall, and moving it over to Civic Circle. Our current space is only 1,200 square feet. It's very limited. Everybody's kind of right on top of each other. This new location is 2,100 square feet. We can we can professionalize the experience, enhance the experience. Our partners at Capel are on board with the move, and we're really excited because if we can get it by this significant concentration of city employees, we will actually increase participation and use of that clinic going forward. So, I'm really done this time. Do you all have any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Not all turnover is bad turnover.
Yes, sir.
Do we split regrettable from non-regrettable turnover?
We don't currently split the two, but that's something as we kind of work on this more. I was actually looking at some stuff today and thinking about that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No other questions? Appreciate the detail. And Gallup has always been the gold standard, so I'm pleased to see the city step into that direction.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, with that, I don't think we have anything else here for workshop. So we are going to adjourn the workshop and move to regular session at 7 p.m. It is 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the Lewisville City Council regular session to order. We do have a quorum. First up on tonight's agenda is the invocation. If you all would please rise and join me for a moment of introspection and prayer. Amen. Mayor Pro Tem Meredith, would you lead us in the pledge?
Please join me in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. First item up tonight is a presentation regarding council canines.
Good evening. My name is Councilwoman Green, and I'm here at the Lewisville Animal Shelter with Cash. Cash is a six-year-old male Catahoula leopard mix, and he has been here for about a month. And he is such a good boy, and he's very smart, and he's very active. Absolutely loves the balls. As you can see, he's been playing with the ball, so he's a little bit warm right now. But he's a great dog. As you can see, he does pretty well with children. And from what I understand of his breed, he is an extremely loyal breed, and also one that really is high energy, loves to play, loves to get a lot of exercise. So if that sounds like somebody who might fit in your family really well, come on down and meet Cash.
All right. And just so you all know, the Gene Carrier Animal Shelter and Adoption Center is currently at capacity for our large dogs. We've been highlighting these large dogs just so you guys maybe can find a home out there. I know we found a home for a few of them. But one thing to know is that the adoption fee for these guys have been waived, and all adoptions come with sterilization, a microchip, rabies vaccination, and 1 year of city registration if you're a Lewisville resident. And of course, the Adoption Center is located at 995 East Valley Ridge Boulevard, and the hours are from noon to 7, Wednesday through Friday, and from 10 to 5 on Saturday. And Wednesday, what is that? Tuesday from 12 to 7, Wednesday through Friday from 10 to 5, and Saturday from 12 to 5. So plenty of opportunities to get out there and get a new friend for your home. Next up, our city manager, Claire Powell, is going to present the Maurice Strickland Awards.
How do I do this? Figured it out. I would like to first call up Connie Allen and anyone else she's brought along with her. I think it's just Connie. Come on up, Connie. So Mayor and Council, every year, the city manager, authorized by policy, is allowed to give up to 2, maximum of 2, more awards. And then we call them the Maurice Strickland Award, named after one of our revered public services employees who passed away just after retirement a few years ago. This is the highest award that you can receive as a city employee, given by the city manager. And I wanted to introduce you to our winner, one of our winners this year. This is Connie Allen. Many of you guys may not know her, but she is in charge of dispatch, and she's an incredible addition to our team. When we brought her in about a year ago? A little bit. About a year ago, we brought her in. Now, I will tell you, it's unheard of to get this award in your first year of working for the city, so that's pretty impressive. But she got this award because she came in a time of chaos. We had a lot of turnover. We were struggling with meeting our minimum staffing on the floor in dispatch. And we brought Connie in, and she stabilized that almost immediately. Well, I say almost immediately. This was a lot of hard work for this lady. But it started first with a people-first attitude. She loved her employees, she empowered them, she listened to them, and they found ways to make things better together. She also comes with a long history of experience, so she could come in and troubleshoot a lot of things that we were always doing the same way. She told us there was a better way to do it, and we've seen the output from that. But on top of that, she noticed that we had some security issues as well with CGIS and TCIC, even cutting me off access to dispatch until I would get my certifications. So I thank her for that, even though I did have to go through some extra training. Really, it's her leadership, and she has transformed the dispatch atmosphere. I went there to go visit about a month ago, and she had a murder mystery set up in the middle of dispatch so that between calls they could feel engagement with one another, because when you're on a call, it's hard to feel engaged with the people around you. You're engaged with the people that are out there. So you have to work double hard to be able to do that, and this woman has done that. So I would like you to have the opportunity to thank her, and then if she has some words or just wants to say thanks, that's just fine too, or she could just wave. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to let you have an opportunity to say something if you'd like.
I just want to thank all of you. I've really enjoyed this last year with Lewisville Police Department and working with all the members of the city. It's an incredible town. Everybody has been so helpful and embracing, and so I'm just in, awe of the whole city. So thank you very much.
I'm going to bring Brian McBreen and his family up to the front.
Come on, you guys, get up here and help your dad.
They're scared. You don't
The mayor's asked.
So you can hide behind here.
There you go. Plenty of room.
There you go. All right, so I wanted to introduce you to Brian McBreen, and he is our second awardee for the year. So Brian is Lewisville's Neighborhood Services Specialist, and really he has changed the game with our neighborhood grants. One, he came in and realized we had to have regular training on grants so that people knew that they can learn about how to get money from the city to help fix their homes up, engage with their neighbors, and those types of things. And your dad did just that. On top of that, he went beyond just the walls of his job or his office, and he thought, hey, we're engaging in many different ways with the community, and none of us are really talking together. The police are engaging in one way, neighborhood services in another way, public services in a different way. We should all streamline this together and work as a team, and they created Nothing But Net, which was an inaugural event that brought in 400 residents learning about city services. He then revamped that this year and now calls it Learn Lewisville. We just held that at Thrive, and we had 500 attendees. Next, he's planning a mobile city hall event at Creekside Mobile Home Park. So what I can tell you is that you can't teach someone drive. And this gentleman right here has a lot of drive and a lot of love for his community. I believe you live in this community as well, right? He lives just down the street in this community and truly lives and breathes it. So I want to thank Brian and give him an opportunity to introduce his family and say a few words if he'd like.
So thank you. I'm truly honored, and I'd like to introduce you to my family. This is my beautiful wife, Betsy, my amazing daughter, Wendy, and my amazing son, Langdon. It's truly a team effort. I come up with a crazy idea probably once a week, and I wouldn't be able to make it happen if I didn't have the support of my supervisor and my team. It feels like family. Without Ashley Farian by my side, I couldn't imagine. So she's a great supervisor, and it's like working for family. So I thank you for all of your support, and I'm very, truly honored. Thank you.
I want to thank all the folks out there that have been involved with both Brian and Connie's success. They both are exemplary, and we love hearing great things about what you all are doing and how much change you're creating within the organization. That is the Lewisville way. Thank you for keeping it going. All right, item D, public hearing. We have a consideration of an ordinance granting a special use permit for a motor freight terminal on approximately 8.53 acres legally described as Lot 2, Block E, Waters Ridge Phase 1, located at 1600 South Stemmons Freeway, Zone Light Industrial District, as requested by Jessica Bro, Amazon, on behalf of ALM Lewisville LLC, the property owner, case number 23-11-16-SUP. In 2020, Amazon began operating a last-mile delivery operation out of 1303 Ridgeview Drive. During this time, the business began parking delivery vans without a permit at 1600 South Stemmons Freeway, which is directly west of 1303 Ridgeview Drive and formerly the site of Studio Movie Grill. In early 2021, the movie theater was demolished. At that time, staff reached out to the business to bring the site into compliance. The applicant submitted an engineering site plan in June of 2021, which went through several rounds of review and was ultimately approved by staff in October of 2021. Further measures to improve the site were never undertaken, and the engineering site plan expired. In July of 2023, staff met with Amazon to start the process to bring the site into compliance once again. The Unified Development Code adopted in December of 2022 added the use of a motor freight terminal, which required the approval of a special use permit. As the previous permits expired, applicant must now acquire a SUP to bring the site into compliance, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval 5-0 on May the 7th, 2024, and it is recommended that the City Council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. I do have Mr. Richard Lutke, our Planning Director, available for questions, and the public hearing is now open. If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, would you please vote? Motion is approved unanimously to close the public hearing. Council, I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption.
Move to approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption.
Second.
City Attorney?
This is an ordinance of the Lewisville City Council amending the zoning ordinance by granting a special use permit for a motor freight terminal on approximately 8.53 acres legally described as Waters Ridge Phase 1, Lot 2, Block E, located at 1600 South Stemmons Freeway and Zone Light Industrial LI District, providing for repeal or severability, penalty, and an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
Council, if you please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item E, Visitor Citizen Forum. Speakers must address their comments to the mayor rather than to individual council members or staff. Speakers should speak clearly and state their name and address prior to beginning their remarks. Speakers will be allowed 5 minutes for testimony. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the meeting. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, clapping, and similar demonstrations will not be permitted. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council is restricted from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken at a future meeting. I do not have any requests for comment. So we'll move on to item F, consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so request. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card or e-comment must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. I do not have any requests, so we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Item G, regular hearing. Consideration of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lewisville, Texas, extending the declaration of local disaster for a significant wind event, severe thunderstorm warning, signed by Mayor T.J. Gilmore on May 28, 2024, and providing an effective date. On May 28, 2024, the City of Lewisville suffered widespread damage to property resulting from a significant wind and thunderstorm event. On the same day, Mayor T.J. Gilmore, acting in accordance with the authority granted to him under the City Charter, Code of Ordinances, and Section 418.108 of the Texas Government Code, declared a local state of disaster, the Disaster Declaration. An ongoing evaluation of circumstances related to the significant wind and thunderstorm event indicates a necessity to extend the disaster declaration. If this resolution is approved, the disaster declaration shall continue until 11:59 p.m. on June 10, 2024, unless rescinded, superseded, or amended in accordance with applicable law. It is recommended that the City Council consider the resolution as set forth in the caption. Council, if there's no comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the resolution as per the caption.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item H, reports. Reports about items of community interest regarding which no action will be taken. Councilmember Kelly, would you mind if we started with you?
No report, Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilmember Green?
I just had a quick comment that I wanted to make. We might have had a little bit of weather, going on over the last week, and it's kind of been, the forefront of everybody's mind. I had some damage, and a lot of just drive around any neighborhood in the city, everyone had damage. One of the things that, despite as hard as it's been, what's really warmed my heart has been just seeing how our community really has come together, and neighbors helping neighbors, and also just the phenomenal job that the city staff has done with moving debris out of public rights of way. Just all sorts of things that really it's not part of their job to do, but they're doing it because they're people who care, showing up on a Saturday or a Sunday to do an inspection on somebody's house so they can have electricity. That's amazing. That makes me really proud of this city and our community as well. I also wanted to make one more comment. Speaking of the weather, the weather we have a lake that is very, very full, and we also have a lake that we have a lot of unfortunate incidents in every year. If you do happen to go out on the lake, please wear a life jacket. We don't need to see all the deaths that we've had. It's already started this year. Let's put an end to it.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones?
All right, so it's application time for Youth Action Council for students age 15 through 18 as of September 1st, 2004. If you're interested, you can download the application from the Youth Action Council page on the City of Lewisville website. You'll send those applications to our Training and Equity Manager, Tamara Miller, at tmiller@cityoflewisville.com. You guys will be our eyes and ears for all teen-related events, and you get to learn about your city. Also, this month in June is Juneteenth. Lewisville has a few things going on. We'll have a screening and conversation of the quilt, A Living History of African American Music, which is awesome. I got to see that at the Dallas Black Film Festival up in Denton. And we'll also have our annual Juneteenth celebration concert on June 14th with Don Diego's band and Joyce Spencer. Be great events. Also, to be neighborly with our fellow cities in Denton. Denton will have their annual parade Saturday morning, and Little Elm will have a Freedom Walk, I believe, on that same morning, and they'll have an event on the 22nd at the Lawn in Little Elm. So we have a lot of things that we can do to celebrate Juneteenth. Hope you guys can get out and enjoy it. That's it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Councilmember Cade?
Yeah, I'd just like to piggyback off of what Kristen said on two things. I'm so proud of our city and our employee. My telephone started ringing, and the world today as we have it, people tend to want to complain more than anything else. I didn't see that. I got more calls over, please tell the employees, the people at the city, they're great. I've seen them out moving things, and this has been awesome. So I'm so proud. I'm so proud to be from Lewisville, Texas, and to be surrounded by all the likes of y'all. And also, I will say that we are getting very, very crowded in the animal shelter. To reiterate that, if we don't get some dogs adopted, some are going to have to be put down, and that's just the reality of it. So help save a life. Go by, get your match. I did.
Thank you, Councilmember Cade. Councilmember Meredith?
Yeah, some library activities for the week. Teen Button Palooza for teens aged 13 to 18, Thursday, June 6, 6 to 7:30 at the Bennett Program Room. No registration is required. Feel Good Fridays General Yoga for adults, Friday, June 7th, 2 to 3 p.m. at the Glenmore Savage Community Room. Registration is required. And Glow Paint a Long Party After Hours for teens aged 13 to 18, Friday, June 7th, 6:30 to 9, at the Bennett Program Room. Registration and permission form is required. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Troyer?
Yes, I have a number of activities going, quite a few activities going on at the Grand Theater in the next couple weeks. First of all, we have Dad Jokes, an evening of stand-up comedy on June 15th. And then there's also Lewisville Talks. City Speaker Series presents the Quilt, A Living History of African American Music on June 13th. And then Black Box Songwriter Series, Carrie Rodriguez on the 23rd. We have a number of activities going on in the theater and in the vicinity of the theater. We have an art Val, the Visual Art League Art Talk with Candace Hicks on June 11th. A free exhibition workshop, Who's at Your Table, presented by artist Jazz Martis on June 15th. Yoga in the Plaza on Wednesdays, presented by Blue Anjou Studio. Bodyweight Boot Camp, presented by Case Cortez on Thursdays and Fridays. Tai Chi in the Plaza, presented by Lowell Johnson on Saturdays. And Pilates in the Plaza, presented by Audrey Green Raider on Saturdays. 2 exhibitions going on. First of all, Movements, presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville from June 1st through July 6th. And Jazz Martis Solo Show, presented by the City of Lewisville, June 8th through July 6th. And that is my report.
Thank you, sir. City Attorney, City Secretary? Mr. Lutke?
No report, Mayor.
Ms. Samples?
I do have one thing. So this is our next installment of the Lewisville Business Connection in partnership with the Chamber. The topic of this event will be brand building with Leslie Thompson, who's a speaker, author, and writer. It is this Wednesday, June 5th at the Lewisville Area Chamber of Commerce, and it is from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Thank you. Mr. Selman?
Yes, sir. Just to note, as it has with many things, the weather has caused some delays with our Windhaven project, and so we're going to be pushing that ribbon cutting back into July. So once we have a date certain, we'll be getting the information out.
Great. Thank you, sir. Ms. Naya?
I do have a few reports.
Love to hear about the lake.
Well, before I get into the lake, can I just say, if you've been performing a rain dance, please sit down. Come back in August. So the lake is over 100% full. It's at an elevation of 529.73, which is 2.27 feet below the spillway elevation. So we're getting very full. I do want to also give you a report on our status on debris clearing. So we have, city crews have been working to clear all of the roadways for the motoring public, getting the trees. Really, our first step is to move those limbs out of the way and off to the side so we can get around. That is complete. I think if we do have anything left in a roadway or alley, we have ensured that it's not blocking anyone's access to their home or business. The next step is we do have a contractor on board to start hauling that debris away. That doesn't include the debris that originates on private property because we wanted to give our residents time to cut whatever trees up they needed to get them, to drag them to the front, because we need to get those to the front curb where we will collect those. That process will start on June 10th. We do have both Republic and CWD on board to start that process. We anticipate it will take several weeks. It's hard to estimate that on the front end because we don't know. We can see what's in the front, but we can't see what's in your backyard necessarily as far as volume. We do ask that you place that on the front curb. Try not to block the sidewalk. However, we do understand there are instances where there's just not space to get that in between the curb and the sidewalk. So do the best you can. They do not need to be cut and bundled as they do under normal bulk collection. So we're going to use a big grappling truck to load that up And so they don't need to be cut and bundled. That's important. The only other thing I have on that subject is we are still getting some reports of power lines touching trees or trees down on power lines. We ask that you please report those to TNMP, but you can also give us a call or send us an email because we are working with our connection with TNMP and CoServe to try to help them prioritize those because they've got a huge workload. It didn't just happen in Lewisville, it happened to all of North Texas, so it's a big job. That's all I have.
Mr. Prochi? Chief?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I wanted to bring you up to date on our RMS project that we've been working with the police department. It's been a multi-month project to convert our records management system to a new vendor. We're nearing the finish line of that, and as we are doing so, we're approaching a go-live date here in the next week or so. However, with some of the data conversion that we have been dealing with between the old system and the new system, which is incredibly critical before we can turn the new system on, that all the data imports to the new system. To make a long technical discussion short, not all that data conversion is correct at this point. And so we are working diligently between Chris Lee's team, myself, and not me, but my team is working on the RMS project to ensure that that data conversion is correct before we allow the vendor to go forward. We have some additional meetings this week, and it is very possible that we will extend that go-live date at this time. It is possible during our meeting this week that we could be wowed and dazzled with the updates that they've made, but there is a potential that we will have to delay that for a period of time. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer on what that time looks like at this point because we haven't had a chance to speak to management. It's a very complex process. The team has sunk hundreds of hours into making this done correctly. We just want to make sure before we accept responsibility for it that it works exactly the way we want it to work.
Great. Thank you, sir. City Manager?
Just wanted to thank staff for all of their work during the storms and council, and really the public for having some patience with us. Really this, anytime you have an emergency, it derails all the other work that you're doing. So I think we're all behind on a few things that we're trying to get to. I'm looking at someone in the audience right now. I know I owe you an email, but it's because we've been working on other stuff. So I appreciate everybody, and council appreciate all your support.
And I do, on that vein, I went through one of these in Carrollton when I did work for Waste Management back in the day. The amount of material that comes to the curbs is large, and it's not, again, reiterate, it is not just Lewisville. Some of you folks are going to place material on your front lawn, and your front lawn is going to die. Parts of it is just going to be underneath trees and branches for a long period of time. I'm going to ask that you show grace. That's an inevitable part of the whole storm, so really would be great if I didn't hear from people wondering if the city's going to pay to fix the patch of grass. The city's taking care of all this material. I'd also want to make sure that as you put material to the front curbs, that it stays trees. If you have housing damage, those types of things, that material needs to go with your contractor. So if you have a contractor that's doing work and they're putting drywall and all that other stuff to the curb, that's a no-no, and we need to make sure that that gets handled as part of your contract. So if you don't know if you're working with a reputable folk, you can actually call into the city and they can at least tell you different vendors that have worked in the city and are permitted. So that may be something worth your time. But please, let's show some grace for these guys. They're getting a whole bunch of junk out of a whole bunch of cities, and they're amazing people, and we need to thank them for all the time and work. And it's going to take longer than you think. So have some patience. I appreciate it. Thank you. With that, we don't have a closed session. And since we have no further action to be taken on tonight's agenda, we are adjourned.